Hello, my name is Sarah Kate, or at Just Say SK on Instagram, and this is another queer education video. This time I am discussing how I came out to my partner as non-binary and how I brought up the topic of top surgery with her. So I get this question constantly on my Instagram. People are often curious how I came out to Hannah as non-binary, since when we first met, we didn't identify the way we do now. And people also ask how I, along with that, brought up my desire for top surgery and how I approached that with her. So I'm just gonna be really raw and open here and discuss the steps that, I was going through and the steps that I was taking, and then how I introduced her to that. Because I think a lot of people worry about how their partners will react to this news, which often delays people coming forward with their true identity and coming out. So I just want to kind of walk you through my process of even discovering I was non-binary, and then how Hannah was brought into that and how it worked out for me. So, I'm currently 25 years old, but when I was 21 or so, I was about a year into my relationship with Hannah. We were both living in a college town, renting out a house together while she was finishing up school, and I had just finished college, and I was working. So I was kind of just in that phase of my life where I'm starting everything and I'm feeling good about, putting my feet on the ground and getting out there and starting a career. And it just I had everything going for me, but things still felt really off for me. And I could never really put my finger on why I felt stuck, maybe. Can you please wait? And as I was going through this time period of feeling a little bit held back and not in tune with myself, I was realizing a lot of that manifested in my body. Side note here, I'm a dance instructor and I got my degree in dance in college. So my job and my education was very physical and very in tune with my body every day. I had to be present in my body and check in with my body. So I never really had the room to feel like my body could be anything besides designed what it was made to do in a dance classroom. So it never even crossed my mind to surgically alter my body in any way, because it would have halted my career. So that was something that I didn't even consider before. But then once I got out of college and I was just teaching dance, it was a little less physical. And I was like, you know what? I'm starting to notice things in my body that I haven't noticed before, or that I had put off and not thought about before. So I noticed that I had a lot of dysphoria around my chest. I didn't want it involved in sex. I definitely didn't want it seen in public. Even in the house with Hannah, I don't know, I covered up a lot. I didn't want to look at my own chest. When I would get out of the shower and the mirror would be fogged, I would just wipe away the part where my face was from here up, so I wouldn't even have to look at my body after I showered or bathed. So I really started to notice that I was doing some heavy avoiding of my chest. And at first I was maybe it's just my body changed. I was a little bit of a late bloomer. So I was I'm just now, my body is just now coming into this womanly body. I'm getting curvier. Maybe I'm just not used to that. I'm used to being a dancer training at a professional level. So my body fat percentage was negative. So now that I'm not training 8, 9, 10 hours a day, I had a more healthy, normal, curvy body. So I was this could be a weight thing or a body dysmorphia thing because of dance and being so active my whole life. So I'm just gonna ignore it and not think about it, which is definitely not the right answer. But I thought to myself that if I maybe didn't address it, that it would go away. Maybe, I'm not sure what I thought, but it only got worse. And I started to kind of explore online groups of body issues, and feelings of disconnect from your brain to your body. And then I found the word dysphoria, which honestly, this is crazy, but I had never even heard it before. And I was 21 years old. So once I found that word, I was like, wow. So dysphoria, maybe it's gender dysphoria, because I was very comfortable being openly gay. Or at that point, I guess I sort of identified as a lesbian, although that term never really appealed to me. Which honestly, looking back on it, makes a lot of sense because I didn't feel like a woman who loved women. So the term was very limiting for me. But whatever, that's a side note. Basically what I'm saying is I was very comfortable in my queerness. I just didn't realize it manifested in my gender as well. I thought I wasn't straight. I assumed I was cis. I never thought anything else because I also wasn't exposed to the non-binary community whatsoever. So I knew I wasn't a trans man, so I didn't think I could be trans. So, visibility and having a vocabulary and being exposed to these communities also helps people understand and form their identities, because if you don't know it exists, you just feel alone and different. So, yeah. I started to do self-research into the community, and all of this was done without really telling Hannah too. Or anyone really. I just kept this to myself for almost a year, I think. I really just dove into these online communities and found people who were identifying as non-binary and who were getting top surgery, and I followed their journeys very closely, but I distanced myself from it, where I wasn't talking to the people, I wasn't asking questions. I just felt like it was something private that I was exploring that I wasn't ready to tell others yet, which is valid. So I just wasn't sure of myself yet. So I was going through this little research phase, I guess. And then once I kind of gained all of the base knowledge and the vocabulary of what the non-binary community is, what top surgery is, it all just clicked for me. And I just remember one day, like I said, I was getting out of the shower and I looked in the mirror and it was foggy and I could see nothing but, right here up. And I just saw my shoulders and my head, and I looked at my body and I said, I'm not supposed to have boobs. It's as simple as that. I was given these things and I want to give them back. They were not meant to go on my body. I don't know where the switch happened. I don't know why this happened to me, but I wasn't meant to have these, and I know that now. So I just kind of outlined on the mirror in the shower steam what I wish my body would look like. And in that moment, instead of drawing a curved chest, I drew straight lines and angles and edges. And then I looked at myself in the mirror with this part of myself clear and the bottom half drawn on in a way that I imagined I could look, or I imagined I should look, and it all just connected. And I was like, holy shit, all I need is surgery. I just need top surgery and then I'll be me. And for so long, I was so scared of the idea of top surgery and of being non-binary or anything other than what I was, simply because it was something other than what I had known. And the unknown is scary, and it's scary for partners of people who are trans too. So I immediately felt this huge sense of relief that I got to the root of what I was feeling and understood myself better. But I also felt this huge sense of fear that not only would it change my life or change, set me on a journey that would be unknown and a little scary to me, but that Hannah wouldn't accept me. I feared that we were early on enough in our relationship that she didn't sign up for this, or wasn't prepared for this, or wouldn't be attracted to me anymore, which are all very valid fears that I hear from trans and non-binary people all the time in relationships who are, pre-op or who haven't even come out to their partners yet. A lot of people message me and they say, I'm scared. I don't want to lose my relationship. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my family. What do I do? So all I can do is give you my story and tell you what happened to me and how I went through it, and hope that advice helps in some way. So, back to the story. That's how I found out that I was non-binary and came to like the self-realization and the self-discovery of that community and that I wanted top surgery. So then it had been about a year of me doing all of this online research and really diving deep into my own self. And then once I realized these things, I knew I had to tell Hannah, because if I wanted support at all, like even just to talk about it, like I needed my best friend and my partner. So, you know, I wish I had a very simple answer and I could say, I sat Hannah down and these are the things I told her and here's a PowerPoint and I'm going to send it to you guys and you can show your partners. But it really wasn't like that. It was much more of me exposing her slowly to the things that I had exposed myself to and found online, like over time. So I started to, you know, look at my phone. I'm scrolling through Instagram and this person I follow, they use they, them pronouns, and look at their cute dog. Just slip it in there, you know? And she never questioned it. She was like, okay, that's cool. Their dog's cute. And I was like, okay, so she's okay using they, them pronouns. Like I was almost testing the waters, and looking back, like I kind of joke with her and I'm like, I'm sorry I didn't just come out and say like, I'm non-binary, I desire top surgery, I just want you to know. But I just wasn't there yet. And I did it in a way that was comfortable for me. And it worked out, obviously, because here we are engaged and happy. So yeah, I slowly exposed her to the things that I had seen. I showed her the pictures online. I would occasionally send her an article about breaking the binary, the new wave of young gender nonconforming individuals, like just like New York Times articles and statistics. I bought a queer research book that had a whole section about non-binary folks. So I just started to like bring it into our everyday life, and it helped normalize it in our conversations and in our world. And then we started to have a few trans friends. So we had friends in college and friends shortly after college who were non-binary, who were gender nonconforming, who were trans. So then that exposed us further to, you know, people in the community. So having, if it's accessible to you, finding other queer friends and queer people to hang out with, just to make it like normal, just to make it something where you have community and you have people to relate to on these things, because that's so important to have that, and to expose your partner to it too, so they can see that there's nothing to fear necessarily. It's just people live this way and people are this way, and that's totally fine. So I would like to say that, you know, during this time where I'm exposing Hannah to these things slowly over time and like still coming to accept myself, like I had realized this in myself, but I was still working on the acceptance part, because it's a lot to just completely rediscover yourself and not realize that for the past 21 years of your life, you didn't really have a perfect grasp on who you were. So unfolding all of this in yourself takes time. So as I was doing all this, there were so many nights where I would lay next to Hannah in bed and really quietly just cry, like tears streaming down my face. And I'm not a big crier. Like I feel emotions hard, but I don't go to crying. I don't go into depressive states easily. So for about a year there, I would just be like, please don't wake up. Please don't hear me. I don't want to explain this feeling. I don't want to talk about it. And I would just cry. And I didn't think she heard me or saw me. But one night she just turned over and she looked at me and she said, "What's wrong?" And I didn't know what to say. And she said, "Are you a trans man?" And I was like kind of flabbergasted. And I also felt like this huge rush of like heat through my body. And I was like, I wish I was. Not that that's an easier journey by any means, but at least then I felt like I would have an answer or like a end goal, because non-binary was still so new to me. So I was still stuck in this binary mindset of man and woman, and I could understand and accept transness, man to woman or woman to man, but my mind just wasn't able to fully realize like that the non-binary community is vast and gender is a spectrum, and that I don't have to align with man or woman. So that realization hadn't set in yet. So when she said that to me, I felt devastated because I was like, no, I'm not a trans man. And that's the problem. Like, I know I'm not a woman. I know I'm not comfortable in this body, but I'm sure as hell not going to be comfortable in a man's body. And I don't want to be identified as a man or he, him, or grow a beard. Like, that was just as dysphoric to me to imagine living that way. So then I broke down and I was like, no, I'm not. But this is horrible because what am I? Like, where do I belong? And that feeling lasted in me for a very long time. And I really, like, it came to a head at that point. And I was like, for the past 22 years at this point, like, I've asked myself this question, where do I belong? And I don't know. And Hannah asking me if I was a trans man made me realize I don't belong in that category. And I already know I don't belong in the woman category. So it just confirmed and solidified for me. I'm binary. I don't fit in this binary method this world has created. I don't subscribe to it. I don't feel it in my bones. It's just not me. So that was a moment where I kind of like opened the door and stepped out and said, okay, I'm going to go full force. Because if Hannah's willing to wake up in the middle of the night and ask me if I'm okay and try to comfort me and ask me, and her first thought was, are you a trans man? She has an idea now. So I've exposed her to it. She's around me every day. She knows I don't want my chest touched and all of these dysphoric things that I've tallied up on my list. She sees all that. She experiences it too. So what I tell people is that often their partners won't be surprised. Like, if they're around you, or especially if they live with you, they know, like, generally what you're going through. And although they can't hear your thoughts and your feelings, starting to expose them to that, I think will connect dots and make everything make sense, because they're around you, so they pick up on these things. Try your best not to be afraid to tell your partner. Of course, you don't know what to expect, and that can bring fear, but I generally have found that partners who love you and are with you for the right reasons are going to be supportive. And gender is just one blip on the radar of love for me in my experience. Don't build up all this nervous energy thinking that your partner has no idea and they're going to be shocked, because that could be the case, but it probably isn't. So yeah, once Hannah kind of opened that door for me, then I felt like I could really start talking about it. So then, the next day we woke up and we went about our days. And then I remember kind of talking to her and being like, so last night, like, and having that first real conversation of, I'm dysphoric. I don't like my chest. I don't want my chest. I want to cut my hair off. Like, very simple, stereotypical female things that I wanted to start changing. And top surgery being the biggest one. So Hannah helped me shave my head. I had hair down to here. I had never had a shorter haircut than like shoulder length. And I just put it in a ponytail and shaved it off in our bathroom. And that was like euphoric for me. And then I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. This is like the support that I need. And this is the journey I want to be on. And then, we started talking about top surgery. And at first, I'm not going to lie. So when I first started telling Hannah about top surgery, she was a bit hesitant. And it definitely wasn't because she didn't want me to do what I wanted with my body. She never had that issue, and she made that clear. But she did have fear for what it meant for her identity. She had fear for what it meant for our relationship and if I was going to change a lot after top surgery. She had fears about the actual surgery, like just normal surgical fears. She worried about me missing my chest and her missing my chest. She worried about her family's reactions to me and strangers and people in the world and how they would treat me and her because of it. So it was a lot of like unknowns that really pushed and drove that fear home. And I think that generally that's the problem. When people are fearful, especially family and friends, when people who care about you react negatively to you coming out or saying that you are not in the binary, you don't fit into the binary method, or that you want top surgery to change your body to fit a more non-binary look or to not fit the binary method that our world functions in. I think the people around us who live and function in that world worry about what it means for us because we're now like an outsider. And I don't mean to make light of family members who are homophobic or transphobic or are unsupportive, because you shouldn't tolerate those things. But I do think that every person, when they first get this news from someone they love or care about, is worried. And my approach to that worry was always education. After I told Hannah, one of the first things I did was create a zine or a zine. Somebody told me it's short for magazine, so it's pronounced like zine. So zine or zine, I'm not sure. But I created a little informational post that basically said, I'm having non-binary top surgery and this is what that means for me. It's on my Instagram. You can find it in my zine highlight if you want to check it out. But it's the colors of the non-binary flag if you're looking for it. But basically it's this little 10 slide informational post that said like what the surgery was, why I wanted it, what was going to happen, what my recovery would be like, just like some very basic information for people who've never heard of this surgery before. And then I spread that. Like I posted it on my socials, which was really scary because that was like my coming out. Like I had already told people I was non-binary, but they didn't immediately associate that with surgery and altering my body. So I posted it on my socials so everyone would be aware of what I was doing and that I could control and manage questions that I received before. So I didn't just get surgery and then share about it and then be bombarded with a lot and have to like process it after the fact while I was recovering. So my approach was definitely to educate beforehand. And I truly found that doing that helped people's worries. As I was saying, all of those worries and like natural fear for surgery, for the way the world will treat you, for worrying about your loved one, I think a lot of that slowly faded and faded a lot quicker than it would have if I didn't educate those around me on it, because people had information and information is power. And that's how I even discovered I was non-binary and that I wanted top surgery, was seeking out information and exposing myself to these communities and these worlds. And once I did, I wasn't scared of it anymore. I understood it in myself. And I wanted to do the same thing for the people around me, for Hannah, for my mom, my dad, my brother, my family, for, you know, people on the internet. And then once I did that, my world changed. Like I found this huge community of people who connected with me being vulnerable and open about my experiences. And, you know, they discovered a lot of these followers and friends that I've made and found have discovered that they're non-binary themselves or that they want top surgery themselves just from me simply talking about it, which is, it just brings me back to 4 years ago when that's the position I was in, and the people who I found online openly discussing how they felt and how it manifested in their body and, you know, what they desired to fix this dysphoria and these feelings. Once I found that, I found peace. So I found comfort in giving that to other people. And that's like my whole goal with doing this, is to, you know, bring that to people. But mushy stuff aside, basically my approach in very short keywords to telling and exposing my partner and my family to being non-binary and to wanting top surgery was to make sure that I had done my research myself first, so I was strong and steady on my feet and had information to back me up in case anybody was worried about the logical things like cost of surgery, recovery time, how it affects your body, you know, all of those like need to know informational things. I researched that, had it ready to give information out if needed. And then number two, after just being informed myself, I made sure to inform others. So I understand not everyone is safe to do this. Not everyone has the luxury of being out and able to talk about these things with their family and their friends and their partners. But if you are safe and you are able and you feel that you can break those barriers and come out with this, I think that informing as much as humanly possible about the non-binary community, about top surgery, if that's also what you need, that alleviates so much worry on other people's ends just to have information. Even if they don't want it at first, just push it their way, because that's what I did with my family, and they have come so far because I just exposed them to it. And it made my life a whole lot easier because it's a lot of education I didn't have to do later on because they had a base knowledge of what I was doing and why I was doing it. And then I think some other small tips that are things that I didn't necessarily do, but I think would be very helpful to other people, like suggestions for bringing this up with your partner. Sit them down and have a formal talk if that's something that is normal or natural in your relationships. Like, hey, let's schedule some time tonight. I really want to discuss something with you and it's important to me, so maybe we can do it over dinner. Or, hey, this weekend, could you come over and could we have some time because I really want to discuss something with you about my identity. Like, I think if you're very just upfront and straightforward, people want to listen. They want to talk to you because they care about you and they love you and they want to know the important things going on in your mind and in your life. And although I'm very lucky, and I have Hannah, and Hannah has been the absolute best and has grown with me and changed with me, and we've ebbed and flowed until we've ended up here. I know not everyone is that lucky, and there are plenty of friends that I've had who've had relationships end or change drastically because of their coming out with their gender or their transness or getting top surgery. So I do understand that it is a big risk to expose someone that you love and you care about very much to something in a part of your life that may really alter your relationship with them. But you have to remind yourself, is that relationship genuine and worthwhile if you are not fully yourself in it? And if you don't fully feel comfortable to be yourself in that relationship, do you want to continue it? And I know it feels like if you just keep it inside and don't say it, everything will just remain okay, but you won't. And that means your relationship won't, and your life won't, and your job won't, and everything around you will eventually, those walls will come down and you won't be happy. So as cheesy as it sounds, you have to put yourself first. You have to make sure that you're okay with your decisions and your identity and who you are at your core. And then the people who are supposed to be around you will fall into place and will be okay with you too, because you attract the energy that you give off. I kind of talked in circles there. I hope that story was linear enough and made sense. But basically what I would say to anyone who's questioning how to tell a loved one or partner that they are non-binary or that they want top surgery is to just be yourself and to be as honest as possible, because in the long run, even if those people don't take it well or don't react the way you had hoped, like, you have you. And you're going to attract the people who love you for you. And if what you need is to identify differently, to present differently, or to alter your body to feel at home in your body, you have to do that. And that is the most important thing, because taking care of you takes care of your relationships and your life surrounding. So yeah, if anybody wants specific advice for your specific situation, because every situation is different, as we've discussed, you are always free to reach out to me on my Instagram at JustSaySK. My DMs are always open. I talk to people every single day about gender, about coming out, about top surgery. I answer questions. I do some donation-based education work. My Venmo and my PayPal are here. And I also just do free advice anytime, because I care about this community and I just want to make sure that everyone feels safe and secure and has, you know, the base support and community that I had when I first started researching, because it was overwhelming at first, and everyone deserves a community or at least one friend who understands them. So feel free to reach out to me if you have specific questions or want specific advice about your situation and how you would like to approach this with a loved one or a family member. Hopefully this video helped someone out there, or sparked an interest in this community. If you're not in the non-binary or gender non-conforming community and you're watching this because you have a loved one who is, some advice that I would give is to just love your non-binary loved one, because they need it. They need it really bad in this world that we live in, which is so binary. For so long as a non-binary person, I felt so unloved, or I'd never felt a sense of belonging. And what I really needed was someone to say, you can be exactly who you are and you don't have to fit a mold. So if you know or love a trans or non-binary person, tell them that today, because they really need to hear that. So that's a wrap. I just wanted to come on here and answer those questions and give a little background on my experience with coming out as non-binary and bringing up top surgery and whatnot to family and my partner. But yeah, I hope it helped. I hope this video reaches who it needs to, and I will talk to you soon.